What are the signs that your heart isn't doing well? What are the signs of a weak heart, also known as heart failure? Well, I've picked out 10 signs here, and I'm going to start with number one, which is fatigue. Why fatigue? When your heart can't work properly, one of the first signs you'll really notice is fatigue. So, a decrease in your physical capacity. For example, when it comes to climbing stairs, before you could go up 4 flights, but now you climb just one and you're already tired. For the same activity, you're having a harder time. You get more tired with the same physical effort. This is a sign that your heart might not be doing well, and you need to look into it as soon as you notice this sign. So, fatigue, a decrease in physical capacity is a major warning sign, and often it's one of the first. And the second sign, which is also very common, and this one can also show up right at the beginning when the heart isn't doing well, when it's starting to get weak, is swelling. What kind of swelling? You'll notice this swelling at first in a subtle way in the legs, so in the lower limbs, in the legs and feet. And one thing about this swelling is that it can get worse as the hours go by. As evening comes, because of gravity, since you spend more time standing up, during the day, fluids start to build up in the lower limbs, especially in more advanced stages. Fluids can also accumulate in other areas, like the lungs, for example. Did you know that a weak heart can cause what's called water in the lungs? Or pulmonary edema in medical terms? Is that what we call it? And why is that? Because when the heart can't pump blood properly, this fluid can build up in the lungs. And water in the lungs, which is typical of a weak heart, shows up on both sides, unlike other causes that might only cause fluid on one side. When I say water, I'm talking about fluids. As we've already seen here, I always use really clear language so everyone can understand. So, swelling in the legs and feet? Swelling in the lungs is harder for you to actually notice, but in the legs and feet, it's pretty easy. Are you feeling it? When you press and it leaves a little mark, that mark is called pitting. And it can also be a sign that your heart isn't doing well. Whenever we have swelling in the legs and feet, there are several possible causes. And one of the causes, which is a very common one, is a heart-related cause, something to do with the heart. But it can also be because of the kidneys, the liver, or the thyroid. So you have to look at the whole picture. And it can show up even in the early stages when the heart isn't working well. And sign number 3, and this is also a sign that can happen when the heart is weak, is coughing. Did you know that? A lot of people think that coughing is just a lung problem, but that's not true. Coughing can also show up when the heart is weak. And this cough can be dry, or it can be a cough with foam or even a pinkish foam. If that happens, it's a very characteristic sign. The heart needs to be checked urgently. So when it comes to coughing, you also have to consider the heart. And sign number 4 is weight gain. You saw that a weak heart can cause swelling. And this swelling also, it can affect your weight, it could be a change in appetite, but very often people who are diagnosed with a weak heart failure, experience weight gain. On average, about 2 kilograms because of fluid buildup. Okay? So that's a sign. Of course, very significant increases, like 15 or 20 kilograms, can't be blamed on a weak heart, but small increases can. Yeah, and this weight gain tends to improve with treatment. And what's sign number 5? It's shortness of breath. But I want you to pay attention to a very characteristic sign, which is shortness of breath when you lie down. Why is that? Because when you lie down, the fluids that have built up in your legs and lower limbs end up coming back up. And that can cause shortness of breath when you lie down. There's even another sign, still under number 5, which is needing more pillows. Why is that? When you lie down with a lower pillow, you feel short of breath. So you add another one. Then after that, you also start to feel short of breath even with that extra pillow. So a lot of times, patients with weak hearts end up sleeping with really high pillows or with several pillows, sometimes three or four, to feel more comfortable because of this shortness of breath when lying down. Have you ever seen that? That a lot of times it can cause tiredness, like in sign number one, but here it's shortness of breath when lying down. And sign number six is waking up to pee. Did you know that this could be a sign that your heart isn't working well? You weren't like this before. Your pattern has changed. You didn't used to wake up to pee, and now you're waking up two or three times to go to the bathroom. So, this could be a sign that your heart is weak. There are other conditions that can also cause this, like high blood sugar levels, diabetes, or kidney problems. There are several issues that can lead to this sign, which is waking up during the night. However, heart problems can also cause this. You really should stay alert and look into what's going on. Sign number seven, and this one is a bit more advanced, which is mental confusion and difficulty thinking. Why is that? When you have a reduced flow of oxygen to your brain because your heart isn't working well, it can cause this sign I mentioned. Remember, this is a slightly more advanced sign, just like sign number 8, which is blood pressure that's too low, because the heart can't maintain the levels of blood pressure, the pressure levels. This can show up as fainting or feeling dizzy. When you stand up, you feel dizzy, your blood pressure's too low, and your heart isn't able to work properly. And sign number 9 is swelling in the veins of the neck. Did you know that this can mean a weak heart? So if you've noticed the blood vessels in your neck area looking more swollen or fuller, this can also mean a heart problem, and you should get it checked out. And sign number 10 is palpitations. When the heart is weak, you might feel your heart pounding. It feels like your heart is in your throat. You can really feel it beating. So you should also check to see if you might have this problem of heart failure. And now, what are the causes and how can you prevent it? What can you do to avoid having these signs and symptoms? Well, I've put together a list here. 7 causes, 7 key points you should pay attention to in order to keep your heart from getting weak. These are the main ones. And the first thing you really need to watch out for is your blood pressure. I'm going to put up a chart here with the blood pressure values. That way it'll be easier. In the meantime, I'll be explaining. As you look at the numbers, I'll be commenting. Why is that? Because high blood pressure can damage the heart. Because you make your body, your heart, work under higher pressure levels. That can hurt your heart. It can make your heart more muscular, bigger, and also weaker. So taking care of your levels of blood pressure is a crucial point. So you can see there that the ideal blood pressure value most of the time is the well-known 120/80. And I'm going to ask you to check your blood pressure outside the doctor's office, because many people, when they go to the doctor's office, can have 2 changes. The first, and also very common, is what we call white coat hypertension. A lot of people think I'm joking when I talk about this, but it's that person who only has high blood pressure when they go to the doctor. So it's not enough to just measure it when you go to the doctor. It might give the impression that you have high blood pressure, when in reality, your pressure is normal. And what's the big problem with that? The doctor might prescribe medication for you. When you take the medication in a normal situation, your blood pressure will drop too much and you might faint. That can be very dangerous. And the other situation I want you to pay attention to is when someone goes to the doctor and their blood pressure is actually lower than it really is. Right. We call this masked hypertension. Why? Because in that case, the person feels more relaxed. They think, oh no, now I'm at the doctor's office. If anything happens, he can help me right away. Here. And because of that mindset, their blood pressure might drop, giving the impression that they don't have high blood pressure, when in reality, they do. So that can be very dangerous. So, what I recommend is that you check your blood pressure outside the doctor's office, at home, in a calm environment, about 3 times a week. If you have a doctor's appointment, start checking your blood pressure 3 times a week, about a month before. Always write down the numbers and also note the date, time, and heart rate, which is another piece of information the device gives us. And it's very important for the doctor to know this when choosing your medications. How's your heart rate? Okay. If the doctor thinks everything's normal, then you don't need to keep checking 3 times a week. It can be once a week or in some cases, even once a month, but it's important to keep track, okay? The second point to pay attention to here is that another major cause of a weak heart is diabetes. High blood sugar levels can also harm the heart. Why is that? Because when our body operates with higher glucose levels, that excess glucose can damage the heart, leading to heart damage that can also increase the risk of heart failure. So, what are the normal blood sugar levels? I'll put a chart here as well so you can watch the video and check the values as you go to make the video more straightforward. So, it's really important that you pay attention to your blood sugar levels. The third point to watch out for is cholesterol. Excess cholesterol, especially LDL cholesterol, known as the bad cholesterol, can increase your risk of heart disease, raise your chances of having a stroke, or having a heart attack. And if you have a heart attack, often the area of the heart affected may not function properly afterward. Where the heart attack happened, this is also a risk factor for the heart becoming weak afterward. Did you know that? What are the normal cholesterol levels? I'll also leave a chart here with the values I prepared so you can know what the normal levels are. And it's important to point out, this one often gets overlooked, that triglycerides matter too. Triglycerides are also a risk factor for cardiovascular diseases. And I won't forget about it here. We want a value lower than 150. And cholesterol, as you've already seen too. And there's HDL cholesterol, which is known as the good cholesterol. And it's good for this one to be higher. So the higher your good cholesterol, the more protection you have against heart disease. I'll also put the values here for you to follow along. And the fourth factor to watch out for is a sedentary lifestyle. A sedentary lifestyle also increases the risk of heart disease. If you exercise, you protect your heart. And there's a number, at least 150 minutes per week spread over 3 or more days. It could be walking, running, swimming, or going to the gym. Do the kind of exercise you enjoy most, because that way you'll be able to stick with it long term, and that's important for your heart. Number 5 is not smoking, tobacco use. You know it harms your heart, whether it's hand-rolled cigarettes, e-cigarettes, or regular cigarettes. I won't even go into detail about that here. And also the consumption of alcoholic beverages, especially. Studies show that heart disease starts to increase after more than 1 drink per day. So having more than 1 drink, a lot of people end up drinking much more. And even drinks that are considered heart healthy, like wine, can also be very harmful to your heart. Many people advocate for 0 alcohol. So if you have any issues with alcohol, if you have fatty liver caused by alcohol, if you have any changes, then yes, it's 0 alcohol. But if you don't have any health issues related to alcohol or any other health condition that alcohol could make worse, studies aren't clear that it should be 0 alcohol. That's not my personal opinion. I lean towards 0 alcohol, but I have to share the scientific information here. So up to 1 drink per day, studies aren't clear that it could actually harm you. Knowing how metabolism works, I suggest you avoid alcohol completely. And number 6, and this is also very important, which is weight control. Why? Because when you have obesity, for example, your body has to handle a larger volume of fluid. We call this volemia. This can also put extra strain on the heart. And the 7th point you should pay attention to, which can also cause heart problems, including serious heart issues, are thyroid disorders. Both hypothyroidism, when the thyroid doesn't produce hormones properly, and hyperthyroidism, when there's too much thyroid hormone. When it's working too much, it can lead to heart disease and a weakened heart. even heart failure, and often this thyroid issue gets overlooked. They investigate other things, they check the kidneys, the lungs, they check the heart, but in reality, what's causing everything is a thyroid disorder. So it's really important to check your thyroid hormone levels. And what are the levels that are considered ideal? I'll also put up a chart here to make it easier to explain. So these are the ideal values. If you take care of your thyroid, you're also protecting your heart. On a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this video? If it's a 10, let me know here and I'll make more videos like this one. Also, write down which part of the world you're watching this video from. I always love to know. I'm speaking from Porto Alegre. Now I'm going to leave you with a suggestion. A list of the best foods for your heart and also the worst ones, the foods you should avoid. Did you know that through your diet, you can protect your heart? If you click here, you'll find out which foods these are. Take care. See you next time.